Namandab, 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 namandab. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Dharma Family Service. Today we're also observing the Bishop's Memorial Service, which I will talk about a little bit later. But first, let's do Sutra chanting, and we'll chant Juseige, which is on page 23 in the small purple book, and 93 in the large purple book. Namandab, 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 namandab. Gagon chosegan hishimu jodo shigan fumanzok seifu joshogak gao muryoko fui dai seshu fusai shobingu seifu joshogak gashi jobutsudo myosho chojippo kukyo mishomon seifu joshogak ryokujin shonen joe shubongyo shigumu jodo isho tenin shi jinniki endaiko fushomu saido shojo sankumyo kosai shunyakunan kaiichi egen meshikon moan heisoku sho akudo tsudatsu zen shumon koso jomanzok iyoro jippo nichigatsu shujuki tenko onpugen ishukai hozo koseku dokuho jodai shuchu seppo shishiku kuyo isai butsu gusoku shutoku hon ganne shitsu joman toku isangayo nyobutsu mugechi tsudatsu mifusho Gangaku erik Toshi saisho son Shiganya koka Daisen okando Koku shotenin To chin myo ke Shin Ojo An Dakok. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. 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 Okay, next, let's recite the three treasures, which is on page 3 in the small purple book. Give me a second for the blind people. That's not what I wanted to do. It's odd. Okay, people online just have to listen along. You know it, I think. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are. No hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay. So welcome again to our Dharma Family Service. I think one thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is this idea of the Bishop's Memorial. But I think I'm also, as a general theme, going to talk about trust. So first, you may have noticed signs by the offertory trays, and in Japanese we call them, it's osaisen or osaisen bako, right? And so just really quick, I looked up saisen, the Chinese characters for it, and it's really interesting. Sen is money, and it's an old kind of money, and I guess it was a 0.01 yen. So we use yen now, right? But in the old days, they also had sen, which was worth less. Right? And so that's the sen in saisen. And it can just mean money, I think. The sai, the online dictionary I use, gives temple visit and dice. Yeah, like rolling dice. What's going on with, dice rolling and temple visit getting kind of conflated? So it's probably some historical thing. Maybe I'll try to look that up some other time. I thought that was interesting. But we just say saisen or osaisen, right, for this idea of making offerings, these donations. And so today, you'll notice it says, in honor of the Bishop's Memorial, today's osaisen donations go to the BCA Zaidan Fund. So this is kind of this special service related to the Zaidan Fund. And so apparently in 1925, because remember, Buddhist Churches of America goes way back to 1899. So several decades later, they had a general meeting for their 25th anniversary. And the Buddhist Mission of North America, the old name for BCA, voted to establish the Hokubei Kaikyo Zaidan. They give North American, that's Hokubei, overseas district is Kaikyo, and then Zaidan, endowment fund. So that's what this Zaidan is, this endowment fund. And then in 1929, they did fundraising drive. World War II, an internment happened, so it went on hold. But then, 1945, the Ministers Association reinvigorated the Zaidan by requesting all BCA churches to hold an annual Bishop's Memorial Service and remit the offertory to the Zaidan Fund. And so that's kind of interesting. Ministers Association, I'm wearing my Kai Kyoshi Wagesa, which is what BCA ministers, or actually all overseas ministers wear. So that was the group that tried to reinvigorate it by having churches hold this Bishop's Memorial. And so we haven't done this Bishop's Memorial in a while, but we do it sometimes, and we're doing it again, which is great. And actually in 1976, they renamed it to Buddhist Churches of America Endowment Foundation. So I think you've heard of that. You might hear it kind of in the air, right? So that's this connection with Zaidan and this endowment foundation. And then, let's see, let me put this one up. So this is our Buddhist Churches of America, overseas. We have a system, kind of an institutional system, and so we have a bishop at the top, which, is just a translation, borrowing some probably Christian term for socho. And so we have a bishop. There's the Ministers Association has a head, the Gicho, which I was for a little while. One minister takes that on, and then we have district heads and everything. But the bishops are really, really important. And we actually have 3 bishops. There are 3 bishops with kind of direct connection to BCO. One of them is Reverend Kenju Masuyama, who was bishop from 1930 until 1938. And so that's right after that 1929 date, right, when they did this fundraising drive. He's got relatives here. Reverend Kenyu Tsuji from 1968 to 1981. A really, really important bishop. He's actually born in Canada. And then, so he was, I think, maybe the first non-Japanese national bishop, right? Japanese-Canadian, but 1968 to 1981, he's got family members here. And then Reverend Seigen Yamaoka, following from 1981 to 1996. And also Japanese-American, and also deep connection to this temple. It's certainly my mentor. 1996 is an important date for me. That's when I moved to Berkeley to go to Institute of Buddhist Studies. And so he just finished being bishop then. And guess what temple he came to? here. So that when I did my internship as a student, I was here under Reverend Yamaoka and just really, really learned a lot from him. And he only passed away a couple of years ago. And it's really sad not to have him here. But we can remember these three and all the bishops that have passed away with this special memorial service. So partly, it's due to their efforts leading Buddhist churches of America so that we can hear the Dharma today, right? And that through their efforts, such an important part of this possibility of hearing the Dharma. And so that's where I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my own story. Thinking back, 45, 50 years ago. I was born in 1970, so I was a kid in the 70s and became a teenager in the 80s. And if I think back on myself, I was really shy, insecure, low self-esteem, afraid of girls, didn't really trust people, right? And just think kind of a loner introvert. And thinking about that was kind of who I was for a long time. I was fortunate to encounter the Dharma at the Palo Alto Buddhist Temple under Reverend Abiko, and that was the beginning of my Buddhist journey. And just a couple landmarks kind of related to this. One, I worked at Starbucks, and if you ever read my Coffee Dharma article in the Wheel of Dharma, I talk about this. But just working at Starbucks, not easy, right? Working at food service, not easy. I know a lot of people get ticked off at their server or, they just feel entitled to anything. But having been on the other side of the counter, I get it. It's not an easy job. And coffee's hard because people are grumpy if they haven't had their first coffee yet, right? So you're trying to deal with people. Not an easy job. Now, some people are great, but it's the difficult ones that often you kind of get you, right? That you kind of get stuck on. And yet, I was interested in Buddhism, trying to put it into practice, and I just remember standing behind the counter, and one thing I thought was, I'm not good enough to be Buddhist. I can't be nice to everybody. I can't be calm. I get angry, so I'm not good enough to be Buddhist. I remember that thought popping into my head. Another thought, and I'm not sure if it was at the same time or at a different time, because we're talking 30 years ago, right? 30, 35 years ago. The big realization, I like people. Really? Right? I mean, I was surprised myself. I like people? Some of these people are rough. They can be mean, they can be grumpy, and yet I like them. Like just that realization. And I didn't like them before. It wasn't that I hated them. I don't think I was a misanthropist. And yet I wasn't comfortable with them. But, working at Starbucks, getting into Buddhism, brought it about that, like, to have this self-realization, wow, I like people. And then fairly soon after realized, wow, I want to study Buddhism, right? And I discovered Institute of Buddhist Studies graduate school in Berkeley, and then realized, wow, I want to be a minister. I don't want to be like a professor or something. I want to be a minister. And you can read my forthcoming article in Wheel of Dharma if you want to learn more about that. But I moved out here to study Buddhism, and at Institute of Buddhist Studies, another insight that I had was that lack of self-esteem I mentioned. Okay? I thought that it meant that I had kind of a weak ego, right? And I must, if my self-esteem is so weak, I must just really just not have my ego must be kind of weak. But what I realized was, no, that meant I had a really strong ego. Right? It seems like low self-esteem means I have a low image of myself, but the point is, self, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not good with people, I'm so shy, me. I'm just talking for myself, I'm not putting this on anyone else, but for me, realizing that, wow, what I thought was insecurity and lack of self-esteem and small ego was actually big ego. And I was so stuck in here, right? Stuck inside my head. And yet I was growing on, right? The insight into liking other people and realizing, wow, I'm kind of not aware of other people's feelings. I'm not aware of others so much. I'm really stuck inside. Fortunately, I found Buddhism. I don't know if I hadn't found Buddhism, I don't know if I would have come to that, right? Because I think that a lot of Buddhism is about the self. You might hear, if you study Zen or other kinds, you hear about anatman, no self, that Buddhism talks about. And that's an important idea, but that's enlightened viewpoint. The unenlightened viewpoint, it's the self. That's all I know. And I barely know that, right? I'm inside my head, having emotions, having thoughts, interacting with other people, but rarely thinking about them. Usually it's me. I'm thinking about what I want, what I need, right? And so I think part of Buddhism is trying to see myself. But the only way I can see myself is with others. If it's only in here, only me, that's not Buddhism, right? Buddhism is partly that, because that's the only thing I can barely control. I can't control anyone else. But it's also me and others, right? That it can't just be about me. And so Shinran Shonin, perfect for this, right? This school of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, a very special kind of Buddhism, different, I think, than many of the others. And some of the others that do maybe emphasize no self more, Shinran never talks about it. Shinran talks very much about being a foolish being. He talks about myself. Amida made the vow for me, Shinran, alone. Right? Shinran talks about himself. He talks about others as people. Right? And yet, it's also looking into myself and seeing, oh, maybe I'm a foolish being. And maybe that's okay. I mean, that's one of the key messages, is that he sees himself as foolish. And this is the term bombu. Right? This term bombu can mean ordinary being, but can also mean foolish being. And I think this is not something we hear about a lot in Western culture, in American culture, right? It's supposed to be like, no, fix yourself, be the best you can be, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, all this self, me, self, take what you can get. Whereas Jodo Shinshu and Shinran is more this deep insight into self. One of the interesting things, I talked yesterday to the Bay District Fujinkai, the Buddhist Women's Association, about my hair, right? And, growing out my hair, so I've got this long hair now. And most male Jodo Shinshu ministers, I think, don't have long hair, right? And 5 years ago, I wouldn't, pre-pandemic. But things change, right? And I think our social kind of things change too. And I think more and more in liberal American society anyway, it's more acceptable for men to have long hair, right? Some people I think would say men are men, women are women, men shouldn't have long hair. They should have short hair. Women should have long hair and wear dresses or whatever, right? But I wait though for someone to say, you're a minister, you shouldn't have long hair. But the reality is, Shinran Shonin called himself Gutoku. Gutoku Shinran. And the gu is foolish, and the toku means stubble head. Because he was a monk, but he didn't keep his head properly shaved. He didn't properly follow the precepts. He broke the precepts. He got married. He had sex. He had children. Right? And so he's not following the rules, and yet the name he chooses for himself is foolish stubble head. Someone not with the right hairstyle. And the right hairstyle for a monk is shaved. Maybe even eyebrows, right? And he's not doing that. So really interesting, right? That, whoa, okay, here's this Buddhism where you can be yourself. You don't have to follow these rules and fit yourself into a certain image, right? In a certain way to be. And so I think that at one point, I realized, and this is after studying a lot at IBS, although it was an insight I had at IBS, just realizing, I think Buddha's teachings are true, for me anyway, right? That I trust Buddha, right? I trust that this set of teachings, whether, and it could be all the teachings or more Jodo Shinshu, but just that feeling of like, and it's not belief like I chose to believe it. I feel like trust is a better word. And this is where the trust thing starts to come in. And I felt like, wow, I trust Buddha. I trust Shinran Shonin. To be showing me a better way than I knew before. Showing me a path, right? And a path to what? That's another important question that I'm not going to address so much today, but it's come up recently. What is Buddhism about? What's the point? Is it to be happy? What is it? Is it to be a better person? Is it to be a good person? And I'm not going to answer that right now, and I don't know if I could, even if I tried, right? But for me, this realization, first, that I trust the Buddha. But part of that trust meant that I could begin to believe that Buddha accepted me as I am. That as much as I may see myself as broken, as much as I may see myself as selfish, wasting my life away, Buddha accepts me as I am. I don't have to change myself first and then Buddha will accept me. It's like, no, I'm okay as I am. Sono mama. Right? And so that idea too, right, that I needed to trust the Buddha, I think, and it's not something you can just be like, hear that, oh, I'm okay as I am, okay. Right? It's a deep realization to actually accept myself. Right? Because I have a lot of guilt for the way I treated my parents. I have a lot of guilt for the way I live my life. And to be able to back, again, that me thing, to be able to back up from that and see that in different ways, I think is also part of Buddhism. And so, during the pandemic, I came up with that idea of the 3 B's. Be aware, be kind, and be yourself. Be aware and be kind are also part of AKA, and I think that's a big part of Buddhism. Awareness, whether it's awareness of Buddha and Buddha's teachings, awareness of others, but also awareness of myself. Kindness, that's absolutely a Buddhist value, this kindness to others and myself. But then be yourself. Right? That was kind of a big one for me, to realize, wow, I can be myself. I don't have to be some other way. I don't have to be something I'm not. I can be myself. But one of the key aspects of that is, then I got to let you be yourself. I can't just be myself and forget everyone else, right? If I'm going to be myself, it also implies to me that I have to let others be themselves too. And I might still criticize them in my head. Who knows, I might even say something. And yet, right, if I'm going to be allowed to be myself, then I feel like I also want to let others be themselves. And I think that might take a certain amount of trust. To trust myself, not easy, for me anyway. It's easier now, I think, than 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? But to trust myself, is that even something I can make myself do? To trust others, that's getting harder and harder, right? And yet, I meet so many cool people out in the street, right? Or just out, right? That when you meet some people and to just be able to trust them. And then, to me, this grows out of the trust in Buddha, trust in Amida Buddha, right? To have this trust in this teaching that lets me be myself, right? I think allows me to trust other people as well, or at least be open to them, right? And rather than judge and shut them off from the beginning, right? To at least be open to learn more, right? That when we allow other people to be themselves, but also learn about them, right? It's interaction too. And so this trust, I think we could call Shinjin, right? One of the core experience of Jodo Shinshu, Shinjin. Which was originally translated as faith early in the 20th century, and people didn't like that. And so another word they came up, then they tried, let's just do Shinjin on its own, and maybe it'll become English. Hasn't happened yet, and I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, right? Sushi made it. Ramen made it. Shinjin, I don't know, right? But then they translated as entrusting mind. The mind entrusting in the Buddha. And so this mind isn't something, I can't make myself do that. And I can't tell you to do it and just expect you to do it. Right? It's part of this process. Listening to the Dharma, saying the Nembutsu, right? Living your life, trying to be yourself while being with others. Right? We get guideposts. Like I said, the awareness and the kindness is just breaking it down as simply as I can. Right? It includes appreciation and gratitude, like in AKA, but it also has this be yourself component, I think. And it doesn't mean that once I say I'm going to be myself, it doesn't mean, okay, that's it, that's all you get. Actually, I'm changing all the time. I think that allowing myself to be myself, or being allowed to be myself, actually changes me. That's when transformation occurs. And so personally, the way I see that all this that I've gone through and the way I am, which isn't perfect, far from it, and yet that trusting people, liking people, being open to people more and appreciating them more, I see as work of the Buddha. It's other power that's allowed me, changed me to be more like that. I wish it was easier. I can give you the simplest one of all. Just say Nembutsu, end of story. But that doesn't get us anywhere, right? Or it does in a way. Oh, that's the core message in a way. But then each one of us has to understand, what does that mean? What is that all about? And that, I feel, gets us to ask questions, maybe. Who am I? Right? What's going on? What's up with the world? And that process of engaging, I think, with the world and the Buddha's teachings at the same time is maybe one way to go about it. So thank you very much for attending our Dharma Family Service. Well, actually, but we're not going to finish the service yet, but we'll just finish the Dharma Talk. And so why don't we conclude with the Dharma Talk with Kansho. Be aware, be kind, be yourself. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, namanda. What do you want to sing, Steve? Should we do Ondok-san too, or you want to do something different? I knew you were going to say that. Okay. Can we do it in Japanese or English? Or let's do it both. Like people can sing in Japanese if they want, and they can sing in English if they want. Yeah, we've done that before. Okay. Let's try that. So Shinshu Anthem. It's in the blue folder under S. It's kind of near the back. Yeah, I guess we'll do it in English. Okay. Online people, I don't have the words, sorry. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Okay, we're getting near the end of the service. Can I just do I have any announcements? Okay, do call out Robert to do some announcements.
Okay, thank you very much, Sensei. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Buddhist Church of Oakland. First, I want to welcome all our guests, friends, and members, of course, too. We have a couple of first-time or visitors today. Davey here in the front, Jack was sitting with me. And if there's anyone else, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you coming today to the Buddhist Church of Oakland. Thank you to Reverend Harry Gyokyo Bridge for his Dharma Talk and officiating today's BCA Bishop's Memorial Service. Reverend Michael Endo for assisting, Reverend Bridge, Steve Chedosaki for playing the organ, our Host 8 group, which is downstairs, providing hospitality for those of us here at the church, and our Zoom crew for the technical broadcasting of service over YouTube. Coming up next Sunday, September 21st at 10, is our regular Dharma family service. On Saturday, September 27th, from 1 to 3, we'll have our first Buddhist BCO study class for this fall, with Reverend Bridge starting his new series called Buddhism, Basics and Beyond. And he'll be talking about the 3 treasures. So that'll be on Saturday, September 27th, from 1 p.m. And then the following day, Sunday, September 28th, at 10 a.m. will be our fall Ohigan, or our fall equinox service. And our Dharma school will be here that day too. So that'll be on Sunday the 28th. There's more information available downstairs on the bulletin boards and on our BCAO website, BuddhistChurchofOakland.org. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Oh, Dharma Chat. So go Dharma Chat, turn left out the door and into the small chapel. Okay. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Terasaki, and in my role as BCA president, I just want to put some shade and color onto what Reverend Bridge was talking about related to the Zaidan Fund. You know, the mission of Japanese, the Hokubei Kaikyo Zaidan was created in 1929 with a legal agreement between the state of California to set up this endowment. And the interesting part is that in 1929, which was right around the time of the big market crash, the Issei pioneers and the ministers decided to set up a fund of $500,000. To think of $500,000 in 1929 dollars, it's an amazing goal to try to pursue. And this is the statement of the initial Zaidan prospectus. More than 30 years have passed since the Buddhism was first introduced into the continent of North America. In accordance with the saying of Buddha that his teaching shall advance and spread eastward, it has shown a marvelous growth. At present, all along the Pacific coast, one finds a Buddhist church wherever there is a Japanese community. However, when we compare it with the immense number of Americans to whom Buddhism is still unknown, we find that what we have accomplished in the past 30 years is very meager and insignificant. Furthermore, when we think of its future, we cannot help doubting if it is not likely to disappear with the decline of the first generation. Buddhism must live and grow in America forever. If the Buddhists in North America continent today do not take up the task of opening the treasures of the principles of Buddhism for other nationalities in order to make the advance of this religion in America complete, who else would do it? This is something about every Buddhist in North America, that some definite course of action has to be taken for the fulfillment of its mission. In 1925, the visit of the Reverend Sanyu Otani of this country to commemorate the 25th anniversary of the Buddhist mission of North America offered an additional enthusiasm which resulted in the decision of establishing the Hokubei Kaikyo Zaidan. In 1929, its birth was announced with the permits with the Nishionganji and the state of California. So I just wanted to say that as part of the real kind of essence of why Zaidan is such an important piece of what is part of the Buddhist Churches of America. There's some additional notes about that. In 1959, a lay leader, also from the Oakland Temple, from the Oakland Church, Mr. Mitsuteru Nakashima, also with relatives here in Oakland, was responsible for getting the National Council meeting of the BCA to agree that for every national meeting, for every conference, for both at the national level, at the district level, and for all the affiliates, that's the BWAs, the Dharma schools, that Zaidan would be collected. And in 1959, the idea was to collect $1 from everybody that attended. And at that time, there were thousands of people who came to these conferences. We have since, those numbers have since dwindled, but we hope that the level of contribution for Zaidan continues. I think that one of the other things is that since it's become part of the Endowment Foundation, any donations, and it says Osai Sen here, but you can also go on the BCA website and give under the Zaidan Fund, and under the line, just put the Oakland Bishop's Memorial Service. And your contributions to Zaidan today also go to the Dharma Forward campaign. So you kind of work both donations, both to the Zaidan itself, but also to the Dharma Forward campaign. And the last piece of that is that in this last National Council meeting, we went back to the original idea that Zaidan was to continue to grow. So every donation that's collected now goes to building the principal part of the Zaidan Fund, which can never be spent. So the Zaidan is now over $1 million. We take the proceeds, the investment returns off of that corpus, and use that to support all the great efforts to ensure that the original idea that Buddhism in America needs to flourish will continue to grow and happen well beyond our time here, so that we can continue to fulfill that promise made in 1929 that Buddhism continues to grow in North America. So thank you for this little part on Zaidan.
Thank you, Steve. Oh, Keiju.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick announcement that next Monday, many of you know, but we are having the annual Buddhist Church of Oakland Golf Fun Day at the Berkeley Country Club. And although registration is closed as far as for the players, there are still opportunities for those of you who would like to participate by contributing to the tournament, the proceeds of which will go toward the 125th anniversary of our church, which will be held next year. So for any of you that would like to be interested in participating, please reach out to me, Ron Nomura, as a community member. He's here today. Reverend Endo, and we can discuss some opportunities, some of which are like whole sponsors. So feel free, and we look forward to the members' participation in our annual golf tournament. So thank you.
Can you give it to Reverend Michael? Reverend Michael, could you explain the Homyo card thing that we have for the service?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Well, not much of an explanation, but because it is our bishop's memorial, we write the card Sochoki. Socho is bishop, ki is the remembrance service we're conducting today. So the card just says Sochoki, the memorial service for the late bishops of BCA.
Thank you. It's the key from Kaiki, right? Sankaiki, Nanakaiki. Yeah, it's the same key for like first year memorial, third year memorial. So it's but with the memorial service. Okay, that's going to do it for the service. And so as soon as we finish, you can come up and do incense offering. You can leave money in the offertory tray if you wish. You don't have to. And then we'll go to the small chapel, which is out the door to the left, and we can have Dharma chat. So please join me in Gassho as we conclude the service. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.